Just because she wanted to humiliate me at the party, my sister-in-law ended up destroying her own life, landing herself in jail and facing a humiliating divorce. The wedding day was supposed to be the most beautiful moment of my life. Yet, Kayla's arrival, like a chilling gust of wind in the middle of spring, cast a somber shadow over what should have been pure happiness. While everyone else was bathed in soft shades of pink and warm light, Kayla appeared like a ghost, a long black dress sweeping the floor, a veil covering her hair, and an expression as indifferent as if she were attending a funeral. The entire hall fell into a sudden hush as she walked in, trailing behind her a wave of stunned whispers. I bit my lip and gripped Harry's hand tightly, trying to steady my pounding heart. Kayla moved from table to table, her face heavy with sorrow, murmuring cryptic laments. Today, I lost the person I loved most in this world. Each word was like a silent blade, slicing into the fragile joy I was trying so hard to hold on to. Harry, with his usual quiet patience, tried to gently remind her to stop. But Kayla, like someone drunk on bitterness, pushed things even further. In the end, it was my in-laws, overwhelmed with silent shame, who had to ask her to leave the celebration. Standing amid the wreckage of what should have been a perfect day, a painful truth struck me. I might have married the man I loved, but I would never marry into peace. The dark shadow named Kayla had, from that day forward, left an indelible mark on our marriage. After all the pain, I thought I had buried Kayla's shadow deep in a cold, forgotten corner of my memory. But then tragedy struck. Kayla lost her first child. She crumbled, her eyes swollen and red, her body frail and withered, stirring compassion, even from those she had once hurt. Even I, who had endured so much cruelty from her, couldn't find it in my heart to turn away. Out of sympathy, I opened my arms, allowing Kayla to get close to my young son, Nate, clinging to the fragile hope that perhaps her sorrow might change her. At first, Kayla seemed transformed, gentle, patient, and full of affection as she played with Nate. Every time I witnessed it, my heart whispered a timid hope. Maybe, just maybe, when people hit rock bottom, they finally learn how to love. But harsh reality never stays hidden for long. Like a snake lying quietly beneath soft grass, Kayla slowly tightened the coils of suspicion around me. She began complaining without reason, lamenting how miserable her life was, how the whole world was against her. In every conversation, with a voice half pitying, half mocking, Kayla hinted that I didn't deserve Harry, that I must be hiding something. Then one evening during a family dinner, when my mother-in-law casually mentioned someone's divorce, Kayla suddenly blurted out, "Did you sign a prenuptial agreement with her?" The words hit me like a punch straight to my pride. The room froze, heavy and bewildered. I clenched my cold hands beneath the table, swallowing down the surge of rage burning inside me. Not stopping there, Kayla shamelessly added, "With how often she changes outfits, who's to say my sister-in-law doesn't have a lover?" In that moment, I could hear the wild, frantic pounding of my own heart. And Harry, for the first time, I saw an explosive fury ignite in him. His eyes darkened, his voice low and chilling. Someone who doesn't even know how to be a mother should never dare to insult others. Kayla burst into tears, sobbing loudly, hoping for her husband's support, but all she received was a cold, silent stare. She fled the table, her cries echoing behind her, while I sat there, feeling utterly hollow. There was no doubt left. Kayla hadn't changed. She had only worn a temporary mask, and the moment things didn't go her way, it shattered, revealing a face even more venomous than before. That year, we had looked forward to Harry's birthday as a chance to reconnect, to finally leave the past behind. The party unfolded in a sun-drenched garden, filled with laughter from friends and family. When Harry took my hand, his eyes shining with happiness, We announced our joyous news. A little angel was on the way to join our family. Applause, tears of joy. They surrounded me like a warm, protective blanket. I thought, just for today, no shadow could touch our happiness. But I was wrong. Kayla, wearing a dazzling smile I'd never seen before, approached me carrying a plate of food. "Let me personally serve you as a way to make up for the past," she said, her voice oddly sweet. I hesitated for a split second, but not wanting to create a scene on such a special day, I smiled and nodded. As she placed the plate before me, she narrowed her eyes mischievously and said, "Congratulations, soon you'll have another adorable little one." I looked down. On the plate was grilled shrimp, something I had been severely allergic to since childhood. A chill ran down my spine. My hand, holding the fork, froze midair. Why had she chosen this dish? Was it merely a careless mistake? Or something far more sinister? As I stood there torn between confusion and fear, Jamie, Kayla's husband, walked over. Smiling warmly, he slid the plate toward himself. "If you can't eat it, let me take care of it for you." Reluctantly, I nodded, still reeling inside. Less than 5 minutes later, chaos exploded. Jamie collapsed, clutching his throat, his face turning a ghastly shade of blue. He gasped, choked out strangled cries, then began vomiting violently amid the garden's stunned, horrified screams. Harry and Kayla rushed to his side. I stood frozen, watching Jamie writhe on the grass, his breathing ragged, his wide, panicked eyes silently pleading for help. My heart thundered in my chest. Cold sweat drenched my body. One plate of food. One dish I had refused, but had almost eaten. One fragile life growing inside me, who had almost shared Jamie's fate. The thought made my knees buckle. Chaos erupted. Someone called an ambulance. Someone else tried to lay Jamie down gently. Shouts, sirens, and the sharp wails of panic tore the air apart. And Kayla's eyes. Oh God. Her eyes when they met mine. There was no fear in them, only emptiness, and a flicker of cold satisfaction. I instinctively wrapped my arms around my belly and stumbled backward, as if standing too close to her could somehow curse me. In that moment, I knew. Kayla didn't just resent me, she wanted to destroy me. And this time, she no longer hesitated to dirty her own hands.
That night, I sat curled up on the sofa, arms wrapped protectively around my belly, trying to steady my ragged breathing. Harry, my mother-in-law, and father-in-law sat beside me, their faces etched with shock and despair. Darkness filled the house, heavy and cold, seeping into every crack like a creeping curse. We replayed the footage from the garden's security camera. Each second dragged by, stretching every nerve under my skin taut. And then, there was no denying it anymore. There was Kayla, her fake smile plastered on her face, carrying a plate of food straight toward me, setting it down deliberately, her eyes glinting with a malicious light I had only ever sensed vaguely before. There was no room for doubt, no room for excuses. Kayla had done it on purpose. Harry punched the wall so hard that a dark red smear bloomed across the white wood. My in-laws sat frozen, utterly speechless. That betrayal, not just against me, but against her own family, shattered the last fragile remnants of trust. The very next day, the evidence was turned over to the police. When they stormed into Kayla's house, she nearly collapsed on the spot, breaking into hysterical sobs, begging, claiming it was just an accident, that Masi, pregnancy hormones, had made her lose control. Her excuses sounded even more pitiful when set against the undeniable evidence. Kayla was handcuffed and led away, under the hollow, heartbroken stares of those who once loved her, Harry, my in-laws, and me. Her bloodshot eyes and trembling lips whispered empty pleas. As she passed by me, Kayla was no longer the once beautiful sister-in-law. She was broken, filthy, and brimming with hatred, a shadow of what she had once been. The trial moved as swiftly as a storm. In the courtroom, Kayla kept her head bowed, her hands shaking, while the prosecutor read out the charges: premeditated poisoning, endangering life, violation of food safety regulations. Not once did she dare to lift her gaze toward us. Jamie, her poor, poisoned husband, was there too. He stood, his voice choked with emotion, pleading with the court to deliver the harshest sentence. His shoulders trembled, not with fear, but with the unbearable weight of betrayal. When the final verdict was announced, prison time for Kayla, I closed my eyes and let silent tears fall. Not out of pity. There was no pity left to give. Only sorrow for a family that had once almost been whole. Kayla was escorted away. The last image burned into my mind was her small, crumbling figure swallowed up by a dull gray prison uniform, dragging behind her both her past and her future. The final bell had rung, but the echoes of the pain would linger forever. Kayla was gone from our lives, but what she left behind were deep, gaping fractures, the kind no sentence could ever immediately heal. In the days following the trial, the house was shrouded in a heavy, oppressive silence. Every morning, I woke with a jolt, gripped by a vague fear that the shadow from our past would suddenly return and wipe away everything I was struggling to protect. Harry, the strong man I loved, had grown quieter too. Sometimes I would catch him sitting motionless for long stretches, his gaze fixed far away, toward the place where Kayla, the sister he had once vowed to always protect, used to be. My in-laws aged visibly within mere months. Deeper lines etched their faces, their movements slower and wearier. I knew that despite their anger and disappointment, they could not fully bury the pain of losing a child. As for me, though I tried to appear strong on the outside, my heart never truly stopped aching. My pregnancy progressed well, but every time I laid my hand on my belly, a lump rose in my throat. A fragile little life, one that had almost been claimed by the reckless hatred of adults. I became fearful whenever someone else brought me food. I hesitated to trust anyone outside my immediate family. Every night, the nightmares returned, Kayla's hollow-eyed face offering me that deadly plate, looping over and over again like a horror film without end. We tried to heal, bit by bit, shared dinners with awkward laughter, nights where Harry wrapped me silently in his arms, as if trying to soothe both our wounds. But between us, something invisible remained, delicate, fractured, like a crack across a pane of glass that would never be whole again. The day I gave birth to our daughter, the entire family wept, not just for happiness, but for the losses, the bitterness that had weighed heavily on us through all those endless months. Our tiny baby girl, like a frail ray of light, pierced through the gloom of our home, reminding us that life, no matter how soaked in blood and tears, must carry on. And yet, I knew. The wounds in our hearts would never fully disappear. They would lie there, quietly, coldly, like scars burned deep into the skin of our souls. A constant reminder that sometimes the greatest enemy is the one we once loved the most.